You're standing in that lot right now, aren't you? Keys in one hand, a pen ready to sign, staring at a truck that costs more than my first house. And a little voice is telling you something's wrong. Trust that voice. Because 3 of the most popular American trucks ever built will bleed your wallet dry one repair at a time. And 4 of them will outlast the loan by 10 years. I've spent more than 30 years under these things, and I'm going to rank all 7 for you right now. Here's the truth nobody on that lot will say out loud. The badge on the tailgate tells you almost nothing about whether that truck will strand you. The engine code under the hood tells you everything. I've watched the same models come back to my bay over and over, and I've watched others I almost never touch. That's the ranking. Real order from the shop floor, not the showroom. And I'm holding the #1 best truck for the very end, because it's the one the car magazines get flat wrong, and once I show you the assembly plant it rolls out of, you'll never look at your neighbor's truck the same way again. This counts whether you're buying new, buying used, or you already own one sitting in your driveway tonight. So stay with me, because getting this order wrong costs real money, and I've seen what that money looks like when it's already gone. Let me start at the bottom and climb. The 3rd worst truck I'll rank today is the Ford F-150, built from about 2004 through 2008, the one running the 5.4-liter 3-valve Triton V8. Now I can already feel some of you tightening up, because the F-150 is the best-selling vehicle in America year after year, and your daddy drove one and swore by it. I get it. I wanted to love this truck too, but I need to tell you what I saw. I still remember the 2006 that came in on a flatbed, engine ticking like a slow bomb, a spark plug blown halfway out of the cylinder head with the coil still hanging off it. That's the moment I set this ranking in my head, because that 5.4 had 2 problems that fed each other, and both cost real money. First, the spark plugs. Ford used a strange 2-piece plug in that 3-valve engine, and carbon would weld the bottom half of the plug into the head. You go to do a simple tune-up, something that should cost you a couple $100, and the plugs snap off inside the engine. Now I'm drilling broken steel out of an aluminum head, praying I don't wreck it, and your bill just jumped to $1,000, $1,200 for a job that should have been nothing. 8 plugs, 8 chances for it to go wrong. Second, the cam phasers and the timing chain. You'd hear it on a cold start. A rattle, a diesel-like knock for a few seconds. That's the phasers and the chain tensioners wearing out. Let that go and the whole timing setup can grenade. To fix it right, you're looking at $2,000 to $3,000 in parts and labor, sometimes more if the guides have already chewed themselves up. Here's the insider part. The complaint databases over at the federal safety folks are stuffed with these plug and phaser stories. Thousands of them. This was never a rare fluke. It was a known pattern, and the fix only showed up quietly in later service bulletins. If you're shopping one of these, do this. Cold start it yourself before it's warmed up, and listen for that rattle. Walk away if you hear it. And ask if the plugs and phasers have already been done, with a receipt. No receipt, assume it's coming out of your pocket. So that's the floor, a truck that punishes you for basic maintenance. But at least that F-150 will usually still run while it nickels and dimes you. The next one on my list can leave you stranded on the shoulder with a bill that made grown men in my waiting room put their head in their hands. Therefore, we climb. The second worst truck I'll rank is the General Motors half-ton, the Silverado and the Sierra, running the 5.3-liter V8 with active fuel management, roughly the 2007 through 2013 run, and honestly, the trouble carried into later years too. This is a truck millions of people bought thinking it was bulletproof. And the engine itself is decent. The problem is a piece of technology the marketing folks bragged about. Active fuel management. They call it AFM. The idea sounds smart. To save gas, the engine shuts off 4 of its 8 cylinders when you're cruising. Sounds great on the sticker. In my bay, it meant 2 things: oil consumption and collapsed lifters. Here's what I mean by oil consumption. These trucks would burn oil without leaking a drop on your driveway. A quart every 700, 800 miles on the bad ones. Now picture the guy who changes his oil every few thousand miles like his father taught him, never thinking to check the dipstick in between. That engine runs low, runs hot, and the bearings and the AFM lifters start to die. I've pulled valve covers and found lifters chewed up like they'd been through a blender. When one of those AFM lifters lets go, it can bend a push rod, wreck a camshaft, and take the lobe right off. Now we're not talking about a lifter. We're talking a top-end rebuild or a whole engine. $3,000, $4,000, sometimes $5,000 once you add labor. I've handed that estimate to a man who'd just paid the truck off. He didn't say a word. He just stared at the floor. And here's the part that'll make you mad later. The data backed this up the whole time. The reliability surveys flagged these engines. The complaint filings piled up. But the trucks kept selling on reputation, on that old sense that a Chevy small block runs forever. The old ones did. This one had a computer deciding to kill half itself to shave a fraction off the gas mileage. Now, this is the part I need you to lean in for, because some of you own one of these right now, and your stomach just dropped. I'm talking straight to you. Don't panic, and don't run trade it in tomorrow. There are things you can do yourself, tonight, in your own driveway, for almost nothing, that will protect that engine and catch trouble before it turns into a $5,000 funeral. First thing, check your oil every single time you fill the tank. I mean it. Pull the dipstick, wipe it, check it. On these AFM engines, low oil is the killer, and it happens silently. 2 minutes at the gas pump can save you the whole engine. Second, when you do change your oil, use exactly the weight the cap says, and don't stretch the intervals to save a few dollars. These lifters live and die on clean oil pressure. Third, listen at cold start for a ticking or clattering that doesn't smooth out after a few seconds. A steady tick that won't go away is a lifter talking to you, and catching it early can mean a few hundred in parts instead of a few thousand in a rebuild. And if you want to go further, there are reputable range devices and tuner shops that can disable the AFM system entirely so those cylinders never drop out again. Plenty of high-mileage owners swear that one change is what got them past 200,000 miles. You don't need a shop to check your oil. You just need to remember to do it. That habit alone puts you ahead of 90% of the people who own these trucks. All right. So that's a truck that dies quiet from the inside. Bad. But it still isn't my worst, because at least you could see it coming if you knew where to look. The number one worst truck on my list disappointed the people who trusted it the most, and it did it in trucks so new the tires still had the little rubber nibs on them. Therefore, brace yourself. The worst truck I'll rank today is the Ram 1500, and I'm going to hit it from two angles, because Ram gave buyers two different ways to get burned in the same generation. The big one is the 5.7-liter Hemi V8, especially in the roughly 2019 through 2021 trucks, and the other is the little 3-liter EcoDiesel. Let me start with the Hemi, because this one hurts. Everybody loves the sound of a Hemi. That deep rumble sells trucks all by itself. But that engine has a demon in it, and mechanics have a nickname for it, the Hemi tick. Now, some tick is just the way these engines are, but the bad tick, the one that ends careers, is a lifter failure, and it's tangled up with the same kind of cylinder deactivation system the Chevy had, the one Ram calls MDS. Here's the nightmare I saw more than once. A guy drives in with a truck barely out of warranty, maybe 50, 60,000 miles, complaining about a tick. I pull it apart and find a collapsed lifter that's wiped a lobe clean off the camshaft. Metal shavings all through the engine. And because those shavings travel, sometimes the whole thing is contaminated. Now I'm quoting a camshaft, a full set of lifters, and a ton of labor, $4,000 to $6,000, and if the shavings got everywhere, we're talking a replacement engine north of that, on a truck that still looked showroom fresh. The forums are full of these stories, high-mileage threads where owners begged each other for answers, regret posts from folks who bought the Hemi for the sound and got a repair bill instead. This wasn't one bad batch. It was a pattern spread across model years. Then there's the EcoDiesel side. That little 3-liter diesel promised big towing and big fuel mileage, and on paper it delivered. In the real world, I saw EGR problems, emission system headaches, oil cooler issues, and repairs that only a diesel specialist could touch, which means diesel specialist prices. When one of those systems fails, you're not spending hundreds. You're spending thousands, and you're waiting on parts. And the resale tells the story too. These trucks depreciate hard, partly because word got around. The buyers who did their homework got scared off, so the value dropped, which means if you bought one new, you ate that loss twice. Once on the repairs, once on the trade-in. So there's your bottom three. And I want you to notice something before we flip to the good news. Every one of those failures came down to a hidden pattern you could have caught before you ever signed. That spark plug nightmare, that collapsed lifter, that eco-diesel headache. None of it was a secret to the people who knew where to look. That's exactly what the complete lemon-proof bundle was built to hand you. The whole thing as an instant download you keep for good. Buy-Right gives you the reliability matrix that separates hype from hard data, plus the engines and transmissions to avoid by model year and family. Deep Reliability teaches you to read those federal complaint files the way a safety engineer does, and to run a technical service bulletin audit so you spot a systemic failure early, the same failures I just walked you through. And the Lemon Files gives you the full frame and rust audit protocol built for trucks that ran in the salt belt or racked up high miles. Want proof before you ever pay a dime? Tonight, pull up the free complaint database at the Federal Safety Folks. Type in that 2019 Hemi, and watch the lifter stories stack up with your own eyes. The book just shows you how to read them like a pro. The fastest way to get the books is to scan the QR code right there on your screen, or go to the link in the description or the pinned comment. And here's the honest reason to grab it now, not later. You've already got a truck payment or a repair bill running right now, and every day you wait to learn this is another day you're exposed at the signing table. But before you go anywhere, stay with me, because I'm about to name exactly who profited from all these broken trucks, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now let me finally say the quiet part out loud, because you've earned it. Who profited from all this? Think about who wins when a truck is built to look great on the lot and fall apart just past the warranty. The company that sold you the extended warranty you almost bought. The dealership service department that books thousands in labor on repairs that never should have happened. The finance office that put you in a new loan the second your old truck died young. These fancy fuel-saving systems, the cylinder deactivation, the complicated emissions gear, they were never really built to save you money. They were built to hit a government fuel number and to look modern in a commercial. The long-term cost got quietly handed to you, the owner, and nobody at the signing table said a word about it. That's the game. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's exactly why the top of my list looks so different from what the ads push. Because here's the flip side. The best trucks I'll rank got that way by being simple or by being overbuilt. Fewer gadgets, bigger margins of strength, engines that were designed to work, not to impress a fuel economy test. So let's climb into the good stuff, and it gets better the higher we go. The fourth best truck I'll rank is the Ford Super Duty running the 7.3-liter gas V8, the one guys started calling the Godzilla, showing up around 2020 in the F-250 and F-350. Now stay with me, because I know some of you saw Ford lower on this list and got nervous. Ford didn't earn that bottom spot for all its trucks. It earned it for one bad engine in one era. This engine is the opposite. The Godzilla is a big, simple, pushrod gas V8. No turbos to blow, no high-pressure diesel injectors that cost a fortune, no fragile fuel-saving tricks. Just a huge, torquey motor built like the truck engines used to be built, and that's exactly why I like it. When something's simple, there's less to break, and when it does break, I can fix it without a second mortgage. I've had these in the shop, and there just isn't much drama. They tow like animals. They run on regular gas, and when a diesel would need a diesel specialist and a wallet full of $100 bills, this thing lets a regular guy with regular tools keep it alive. For a work truck that has to earn a living, that matters more than any dyno number. Here's the practical takeaway. If you tow heavy but you don't want the diesel repair bills, the Godzilla is the smart buy, and the used market hasn't fully caught on yet, which means you can still find value. Look for one that's been used for honest work and maintained, not one that got beat and neglected. Simple engines still need clean oil. So that's a strong start to the good half. A truck that keeps it simple and keeps on working. But simple can still be improved on. Therefore, the next one takes reliability and adds something the fourth-place truck can't match. A track record that's already decades long. The third best truck I'll rank is the General Motors half-ton again, but the right version of it. I told you the 5.3 with the fuel-saving gadget was a heartbreaker. Well, the same platform, built right, is one of the best values on the road. I'm talking about the trucks running the 6.2-liter V8, and honestly the older, simpler small blocks like the 4.8 before all the deactivation nonsense took over. Here's why this matters. It's the same body, the same look, the same tough frame that made people trust Chevy and GMC in the first place. The bones were always good. The engine choice is what separated a truck that died at 120,000 from one that laughs at 250,000. The 6.2, when it's taken care of, is a strong, proven motor with real power, and it doesn't carry the same oil-burning reputation the base AFM engines dragged around. In the shop, the difference was night and day. The trucks that came in dying young were almost always the ones with the fuel-saving system eating their lifters. The ones that just kept rolling in for basic maintenance. Brakes, fluids, tires, those were the ones with the stouter engines and owners who checked their oil. Same badge, totally different life. The practical move here is about how you shop. Don't just buy the Silverado or the Sierra because it's a Chevy. Buy the right engine. Ask what's under the hood. Look up whether that specific motor used the deactivation system, and lean toward the stronger V8 or the simpler older ones. And whatever you buy, use that gas pump oil check habit I gave you. Do that, and this platform will treat you like family for a long, long time. Now here's where the stakes climb again, because the third best truck is a great value, but it's still a gas half-ton doing half-ton work. The second best truck I'll rank is the one guys hand down to their kids, the one with a factory number so ridiculous the company stopped printing it. Therefore, let's talk about the engine that earned the nickname the Million-Mile Motor. The second best truck I'll rank is the Ram 2500 and 3500 with the Cummins diesel, and I want to be clear about which one, because it's the inline-six Cummins, especially the older 5.9-liter 12-valve and 24-valve engines, and the 6.7 that followed. Now you might be scratching your head. I just put the Ram 1500 dead last. How does a Ram climb all the way to second? Because the truck and the engine are two different animals, and this engine is a legend for reasons I've seen with my own eyes. The Cummins inline-six is not a car engine dressed up for a truck. It's an industrial engine, the kind of design you find in equipment that runs all day for decades. That's the whole point. Where the little diesel in the 1500 gave me headaches, this big Cummins is built to a completely different standard. I have personally seen these trucks roll past 300,000 miles on the original engine, still pulling trailers, still starting on a cold morning. The old 12-valve in particular is about as mechanically simple as a modern diesel gets, and simple is what survives. Here's the honest catch, because I don't sell fairy tales. The engine outlasts the truck around it. The transmissions behind these things, especially some of the automatics, aren't as tough as the Cummins itself. The rust can eat the body while the motor's still perfect. And these are diesels, so the maintenance, the fuel system, the filters has to be done on time or you'll pay for it. But if you find one that's been loved, with service records and a solid transmission, you are buying an engine that may very well outlive your ownership of it. The resale proves it too. Clean Cummins trucks hold their value in a way that drives new truck shoppers crazy, because everybody who knows, knows. So the takeaway is simple. If you need to tow serious weight and you want an engine that treats 300,000 miles like a warm-up, the Cummins is the one to chase. Just inspect the transmission, inspect the frame for rust, and get those service records. Buy the engine and forgive the truck its little sins. Now, before I give you the number one, I want to turn back to those of you sweating in your seats because your truck landed on my bad list. Here's the thing you need to hear. A truck on my worst list is not a death sentence. It's a warning to pay attention. Every single one of those problem engines gives you signals before it dies. The cold start rattle, the ticking that won't smooth out, the oil level creeping down between changes. If you build the habit of checking your own oil at the pump, listening at cold start, and getting the known weak parts inspected before they fail, you can nurse a truck on my bad list to a long life. Knowledge is the cheapest repair there is, and you just got a bunch of it for free. All right, we're here. The number one best American truck I'll rank today. And I promised you the car magazines get this one wrong, so let me tell you a story about where the truth got buried. The truth existed the whole time. There's an engine and a truck out there that quietly, boringly, outlasted almost everything I ever put on a lift. But it doesn't get the love because it wears the wrong badge for a lot of proud truck buyers, and the marketing machine for the big three spent decades and a fortune making sure you felt unpatriotic for even looking at it. So the honest data got shouted down by commercials. But one number kept the truth alive, and I'm going to hand it to you now. The number one best truck I'll rank is the Toyota Tundra, specifically the ones running the 5.7-liter I-Force V8, roughly 2007 through 2021, with the engine code the diesel guys and Toyota nuts know, the 3UR. And before anybody types that a Toyota doesn't belong on a list of American trucks, let me tell you exactly where this thing is born. That Tundra is assembled in San Antonio, Texas, by American workers. The engines came out of Alabama. If you pull up the American-Made Index that Cars.com publishes every year, the one that actually measures where parts come from and where the truck is built and how many American workers touch it, the Tundra ranks near the very top, year after year, higher than some of the trucks with the loudest flag-waving commercials. More American-made by that measure than the pickups that spent all that ad money telling you they were the only real American truck. Let that sink in. Now here's why it earns the top spot in my bay, not just on a spreadsheet. That 5.7 V8 has no cylinder deactivation gimmick eating its lifters. No fragile fuel-saving trickery. It's a straightforward, overbuilt, port-injected V8 that Toyota designed to be dull and unkillable. In 30-plus years, the number of these engines I've had to open up for a catastrophic internal failure, I can almost count on one hand. That is not normal. That is not what I can say about anything else on this list. The reliability surveys back it up. The high mileage threads are full of these trucks at 250, 300, even 400,000 miles on the original drivetrain. The owners just changing the oil and the water pump and rolling on. Here's the insider truth the magazines miss. They knock the Tundra for having worse fuel economy and fewer fancy features than the domestics, and that's true. But those two complaints are exactly why it lasts. It doesn't have the fuel-saving gadgets because Toyota decided a truck that runs forever beats a truck that saves you a few dollars at the pump and dies at the worst possible moment. The thing the reviewers marked it down for is the very thing that keeps it out of my shop. The boring choice was the smart choice the whole time. Is it perfect? No. There aren't as many of them out there, so clean used ones sell fast and hold their price. Some years had a cam tower oil leak that's more annoying than fatal. The fuel mileage really is thirsty. But I'm ranking these by which truck lets you keep your money in your pocket over 10, 15 years, and by that measure, nothing here touches it. When a guy asks me what truck to buy so he never has to think about the engine again, this is the one I point at. Every time. So here's the move for your next weekend of shopping. If you want the surest thing on this list, find a well-kept Tundra with the 5.7, check the frame for rust like you would on any older truck, ask about that cam tower leak, and then just buy it and forget it. You won't be back in my bay crying over a lifter. You'll be back in 15 years asking if it's finally okay to sell it. Let me leave you with the feeling, not just the facts. The badge on the tailgate was never the promise. The engine underneath was. The marketing folks bet that you'd buy the story instead of the truth, and for a lot of good, hard-working people, that bet cost them thousands and a truck that died before its time. You're not going to be one of them anymore. You've got the real order now, straight from the floor of my shop, and that's an order you can actually spend money on with a clear head. You're the kind of driver who wants the truth over the sales pitch, or you wouldn't have stayed with me this long. So you already know what to do the next time somebody in a nice shirt tries to sell you a fuel-saving gadget as a feature. Now I want to hear from you, and I read these. Tell me, did I put your truck too low or too high? If you're driving that 5.3 Chevy or that Hemi Ram, I especially want to know how many miles you've got on it and whether you're feeling nervous right now. And tell me where you land on my number one. Would you really park a Toyota in your barn and call it the best American truck, or does that stick in your throat? Drop it in the comments, and tell me what you drive and what town you're watching from. I answer the ones that surprise me. And if you're tired of getting burned by the badge and the brochure, come sit with the rest of us who refuse to play that game. Subscribing puts you in a group of drivers who check their own oil, read their own dipsticks, and don't sign anything until they know what's really under the hood. Grab the free car care checklist I keep for folks like you, because protecting the truck you've got is always cheaper than replacing it. And next time, I'm ranking the transmissions that quietly kill more trucks than any engine on this list, including one. This video gave you the overview, but the full ranking engine code by engine code is waiting inside the Garage Bench Club, picking up right where I stopped In there, you can ask me about your own truck, and a real person, me, answers you myself. You won't be alone either. Just point your phone's camera at the code on your screen. Cancel anytime with one click, no risk. Now, before you spend a dime on any new truck, let me show you something better. There are 7 dirt cheap pickups almost nobody buys, yet they'll outlast every new truck on the road. It's starting right here.